Dwayne Marcus, man, what's up, bro?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I wanted to invite you on because I needed your expertise because me and Bert are not qualified to talk about this.
Oh God.
It's not a Gen Z thing.
Okay, what's up? What's up?
Caitlin Clark getting the bag, 28 mil for them things on her feet, changing the game as we speak. And I thought this would be a joyous occasion for women's basketball, a joyous celebration for WNBA. But nah, I don't know if this is just women. They just can't be happy for each other. But the first thing I saw was, well, what about Asia Wilson? What about What about this? For years, I get it. Asia Wilson fans, I know you're throwing air punches right now. You're throwing little hissy fits online because they're mad at the white girl getting the sneaker deal from Nike, and Asia Wilson has all these accolades. I just don't like that energy because it's petty and it's hateful and it's bitter. I understand you would feel like that after years of complaining of not getting the spotlight on your sport. Now you're getting the spotlight on your sport, but the problem is the spotlight isn't on you. And that's my problem with it. Why are you mad at Caitlin Clark? She's elevating women's basketball to heights we have never seen. I truly believe that your tiny waves make, or tiny ripples will make great waves. Asia Wilson, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Diana Taurasi, you've suffered years of being treated like second class sports citizens for this moment. Why are you not embracing it? Why are not the pros? It seems like the fans are embracing it. I'm not talking to the Dwayne Marcuses and the Martins and the Mike Hughes and all the wonderful people who cover women's basketball of the world. I'm talking about the hating ass players who, for some reason, are on Caitlin Clark's dick for not doing anything but spearheading this turn. Is that fair to say? The turn in the national perception of women's basketball. Or am I off on that?
Well, you asked two questions, so I'll answer them in order. The Asia Wilson thing is not, um, and I'm an Asia Wilson fan. I'm an Aces fan, obviously, but
Right.
I'm an Asia Wilson fan first. Asia Wilson's the reason why I watch women's basketball. Anyway, um, dating back to her time in college, the issue isn't that Caitlin got a shoe deal. I don't think anyone's well, that's not true. There are definitely people who are anti Caitlin, right? But that's a separate thing. The issue is women's basketball, the WNBA specifically, represents a population of America by large that's marginalized, that doesn't get love, right? The black female LGBTQ, all the letters, like that community is marginalized and it doesn't get the love and respect that it deserves, whatever word you want to use, in America, right? I don't know if Asia's there. I'm not saying that she is, but what I am saying is this is not a Caitlin issue. It's not an Asia Wilson issue. It's a media issue.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a media issue is because when you, and I know you do this jokingly because that's who you are, but when you look at who the media says is the face of the league or who the media pushes as the face of the league versus who actually is the face of the league, it's two very different things. For the most part, the face of the league, of any league, is usually the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Right? Up until recently, and I mean, even though he's not the best player in the league right now, like LeBron, pretty much for all of his career, has been the face of the NBA. Right? Yeah. You would say that probably right now Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. I don't know who the best player in baseball is or the best player in NHL is right now, but whoever those guys are, probably the best player in those leagues are also the face of those leagues. The best player in the WNBA is Asia Wilson. Mm-hmm. And the only person in the league who holds a candle to Asia's accolades, who holds a candle to what Asia does on the floor, is Breanna Stewart. But she's not the one that's being pushed as the face of the league. It's Sabrina Ionescu. And this is nothing against Sabrina because Sabrina is an exceptional basketball player. She's a really good basketball player, one of those Kobe disciples, right? Really good. Mm-hmm. But the media, and this isn't really just sports media, it's just media in the country. The media is conditioned to give you the straight white male, straight white woman. But that's not what the WNBA is, and it's not representative of who the WNBA is. I was at the draft last week. It was a great experience. there are a lot of people, a lot of fans of the WNBA who are in that community because there's so much representation. When you talk about representation matters, right? It's not just little black kids seeing black superheroes in Marvel or little Spanish kids. It's about representation across all platforms, and that's what this is. Me personally, shout out Caitlin, right? Caitlin has done an exceptional. She's great in her career. She'll never championship, but like to this point, she's been great in her career. She deserves all the money that she's getting. I think what you're seeing on Twitter and on the internet from fans is, yeah, that's great, but there are still so many other players, namely this one player right here, who is exceptional, who has won numerous gold medals, numerous championships, numerous MVPs, is the best player on the court on both sides of the ball, consummate professional, never in any trouble. Like all of the boxes that you would want to check for these things, she checks those boxes. And in some instances, numerous times over, and she still hasn't gotten that thing, right? Yeah. Like, and for athletes, that's kind of like the thing. The signature shoe is like the thing at this point, right? And with so many different options, whether it's Nike, whether it's Adidas, whether it's Puma, whether it's Converse, New Balance is kind of like coming back into the world of basketball shoes and just shoes in general. Like with all of the options, for none of them to have, and I think she's signed with Nike right now, but for none of them to have said, we want to give you a signature shoe for all of your contributions, as if she doesn't have a large following who would go out there and buy those shoes, I think it's ridiculous. I think that's the outrage that you're seeing. That's the first part. As far as the hate part, and I made this analogy when we talked about it on Protect Our Queens a couple weeks ago. I do not think that anyone is hating on Caitlin Clark. I liken the Caitlin Clark thing to what players on the Cavs said about LeBron when LeBron was getting drafted, how there's like literally a video on the internet of Cavs players being like, yeah, he's not going to do that in the NBA. That's not hate. That's just reality. Like the reality of the situation is whether you like women's basketball or you don't, whether you respect it or you don't, like however you feel about women's basketball, the WNBA is the next level. It is the level, right? It is where the best women in the world play basketball. There is going to be a learning curve. It's no different from the best player on a middle school team trying out for high school, the best player on high school varsity going to the college, and the best player on the college team going to the NBA or whatever sport it is. It's no different. I don't think it's hate. I think it's just simply like it's great. We want to see these players come to the league, obviously, because of the visibility, the visibility germ that you're talking about. But if you think as a fan that Caitlin Clark is showing up in Indiana day one and chucking threes from the parking lot and averaging 33 points a game, you're stupid. This is not how it works. Is she going to hit these shots? Yeah, because she's an exceptional shot maker. Is she still going to be a good passer? Yes, because it's going to translate. But she's not going to show up day one and be the best thing since sliced bread, as a lot of these fans are saying. And so I think what we're seeing is we're seeing two very distinct groups of people. There are the groups of people who have never tuned into women's basketball until the last year or two because of Caitlin Clark, which I'm on record as saying, even on the show, that's great, right? Glad you're here. Oh, yeah. But now that you're here, let's put you on game and let's help you recognize that as great as Caitlin Clark is, Caitlin Clark's not going to be the best player in the league on day one. She's not going to walk into the league and be MVP. It's only happened one time before, and it hasn't happened since. It was 16 years ago when Candace Parker did in 08, right? And it hasn't happened since then. Have rookies gotten MVP votes? Yeah, because usually in a league that small, there's only 12 teams. When you're on the worst team in the league, you're going to get MVP. You're going to get at least one, but she's not going to be the MVP. She's not going to be the best point guard in the league. She's not going to be lighting it up from three like she's lighting it up from three in college. Also, she doesn't play defense. And in the WNBA, because there's so many big guards, offensively and defensively, you not playing defense, Caitlin Clark, is going to hinder your game. They're going to headhunt you on defense. Like, you're going to be the target. That's just how it works. So I think the tough part about what's happening in women's basketball right now is everyone, whether you're a new fan or an old fan, everyone loves what Caitlin and Angel and all those girls are bringing to the table this season. But the issue that I think the conflict and the butting of the heads that you're seeing is all of the established fans being welcoming to the new fans because we want the game to grow and we want more visibility in the game. But it's also like, it's great that you're here and it's great that you're a fan and it's great that you're finally tapped in. But what you're seeing in college you're not going to see that immediately in the WNBA.
Well, listen, Dwayne Marcus, and I'm not talking to you here when I say this because you're my guy, and I love and appreciate you. But all you fans that think like that, shut the fuck up. And just listen, just be happy that the national audience is tuning into your game. Because what you're alluding to is you can't, but that's like having your cake and eating it too mentality. You can't say you're happy that more eyes are on the game, but then tell people how to absorb the game. People are only tuning in for this reason.
Would you
let them endure it?
With all the hard work, and I mean you specifically, but also all of us on the network, with all the hard work that we put into the network, would you rather us just have a bunch of people just tuning in just for the sake of saying we have a bunch of people tuning in? Or would you rather we have a bunch of people that tune in who also value and appreciate the product, both for what it was, what it is, and what it can be?
I'm shallow, so I probably just want the clicks. But I mean, hey, because of people like you and Mike Hughes, I am one step closer to not having to do this show and just sit behind the scenes, which is my end goal. Like I can't wait. It's just the day is coming.
It's not just about having more, because of course having more eyes on it is what we want, because getting more eyes on the game is, the more eyes are on it, the more the appreciation raises. Hopefully that's the
goal. That's the goal. I got you.
The goal is the more people watch, the more people appreciate what you get other people to watch. So it's not just about great. We've got, the final, the national championship was the most watched thing on ESPN ever in the history of basketball for the most part, right? Like that's all cool. That's great. It's one thing to have a bunch of eyes on it. It's another thing to have a bunch of eyes on it who also appreciate where the WNBA and where women's basketball was, where it is right now, and where it can go in the next 3, 5, 7 years.
But I think that will happen organically, right? You have to, the important thing is you have to have the eyes first. Yeah, you're going to get some guys that straggle off, because I'm sure there'll be a group of people that they'll see Caitlin Clark struggle from the outset and just tune out. But there'll be people that say, oh shit, like, dog, do you know how many percentage the viewership of the WNBA draft? People like me who have never once even thought about tuning into I didn't even know they televised it before. Like that's good. And now because of that, and I am me, who I do respect and appreciate women's basketball, and and when I say casual fan, I'm just being generous with my description. I am as casual as it gets. I know who the stars are, but that's the point. I know who the stars are because I know who's good or not. And like Sue Bird is my crush. I know she don't want me, but and you could do better than Megan Rapinoe. Get better than Sue Bird.
WNBA Sue Bird.
I love Sue Bird. I don't know, something about her, man. It's that Seattle, the old school Seattle Storm supersonic uniform. I like Sue Bird. But I was a big Cynthia Cooper fan. I was a big Tamika Catchings fan. Like and then obviously because of me and Bert's proximity, Dawn Staley was always in our lives in some form or fashion. So like I grew up, especially with the legends of the game, and appreciate it. Shout out to Rebecca Lobo and all them. Like I really like. I know. I mean, it's funny. I predate WNBA. Me and Bert predate the WNBA. Like I remember the first game, and I remember it was hype. It was hype, but the problem was people were comparing. Like they tried too much to be like male basketball, and they tried to they didn't market it correctly. But now, and honestly, this is thanks to the NBA. Or thanks to men's college basketball for getting rid of like the one and done rule. Like now that these college players, these male players, are leaving. The spirit of college male basketball, which is what everybody attached to,
it's dead.
Is dead, and they have to transfer it now to the women's game. That's evolution. This is what I'm talking about. That the women players, again, I get it. It sucks when you did all this hard work and you've been carrying the torch for this long, but that's just how evolution works. That's how growth works. Like your hard work. Yeah, you walked so Caitlin Clark can run, and there's going to be much more like her. They're coming up right now, and so like just be a part of it. You should be hyping her up. What's the Woodard lady that tried to shit on her? They brought her back to Iowa, and she basically was like, "Yeah, Caitlin Clark didn't break my record." Like that's hate. That's hate to me. You know what I'm saying? Telling why is Breonna Stewart and Diana Taurasi and like, yes, I know what you're saying. They're trying to set expectations, but to me, that's hate. Hey,
well, Diana Taurasi is a special case because Diana Taurasi just an asshole. That's
Okay.
like,
Okay. So she was hating, is what you're saying. She was hating a little bit. A little bit.
The words that she was saying are valid. There is going
Gotcha.
to be a transitional period and a learning curve, but Diana Taurasi is also just an asshole. Jeremy, you're a Sixers fan. You've been a Sixers fan, I assume, all of your life.
Yeah.
If a kid, let's say someone my age, who's watched the Sixers maybe the last 2 years, walked up to you and said, Joel Embiid's the greatest Sixer of all time, you'd look at him like he's stupid, right?
Yeah.
And you would want to put him up on game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Joel Embiid's great, but he's not the greatest Sixer of all time. That's where we are with Caitlin Clark right now.
Yeah. I got you.
Caitlin Clark is exceptional. She's great for the game. I don't think there's anyone in the WNBA currently, whether it's a player, a coach, a GM, whatever, media personality, whatever, that will look you in the face and say Caitlin Clark's not great for the game, both on the court and just all the attention that she brings.
Mm.
The issue is when you start to say that Caitlin Clark is more marketable, which has been said, than an Asia Wilson, which objectively that's not true. Like, it's
hold up. No, that is objectively true. Matter of fact, we have proof of it. We have proof of it.
No.
They upgrade. They went from an 8,000 person arena to a 12,000 person arena, and she hasn't. And that was before she got drafted.
That doesn't mean she's more marketable than Asia Wilson.
She's opposite. She's more.
It means there are a lot of people. It means there are a lot of people, specifically from the state of Iowa, because Iowa doesn't have any professional sports teams. So college sports is the lifeblood of Iowa, right? That are very excited, and just fans of Caitlin in general, that are very excited to see Caitlin play basketball, right? To me, maybe this is just me, to say that, like, if I said Bert was more marketable than you, what I'm saying is that there are qualities about Bert that makes Bert more attractive to people with money that want to make him the face of things, that either you don't have those qualities or those qualities in you aren't at the level that they're at Bert. That's not the case.
Well, two things. Bert is more attractive than I am.
These are very loose analogies, but we know that Bert's more marketable.
Yeah.
You don't care about anything. You walk the beat of your own drum. But, like, Caitlin Clark is great for the game. There's no one that doesn't like Caitlin Clark. There are a lot of people, most people don't like Caitlin Clark. There are a lot of people that don't like Caitlin Clark fans.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that are saying the very outlandish things that Caitlin's going to be the best guard in the league. She's going to have the highest IQ in the league. She's going to be MVP day one, all this other nonsense.
See, but that's tangible. That's tangible basketball stuff. But to say that she's not the most, she clearly is the most marketable because Asia Wilson ain't ever fill out no arena. Like this is not like Caitlin Clark. They didn't elongate the game. Her draft wasn't the highest rated draft of all time. The Caitlin Clark's games got more ratings than any WNBA playoff game. Like that is tangible evidence. And that's, to me, that's marketing. Maybe not dollars yet, but she just signed a $28 million deal. Who else in WNBA history has that deal? Who else?
I think there's a lot of athletes in history that have done that.
No, we're not talking about. We're talking about the WNBA.
Women's athletes, not like all athletes. Just like
I know, but we're talking about women's basketball. Serena Williams has done that. I'm talking about like the issue with the WNBA. It's fans, and I'm not saying Asia Wilson herself is doing this. I'm just saying people are using her as the kind of poster child for, well, what about Asia Wilson? Because, like you said, she's the best player in the WNBA. Again,
if LeBron never had a sneaker deal, never had a signature shoe, and he's been the face of the league for all this time, and Zion shows up after 1 year at Duke and gets $40 million shoe deal, and they treat him like he's the best thing ever. I know you're not a LeBron fan, but, like, if you were a LeBron fan, would you not be like, yeah, that's great for Zion, but what about LeBron, who's been the consummate professional, who has all this stuff? Like, that's what it is. It's not like I hate Zion. It's a great for Zion, but there's this other guy over here that's been doing all this stuff just as much, way better in the league, and he doesn't have any of that. It's not like a hate thing. It's just that's great, but, like, let's do it for the people who are already there. It's like the Ice Cube offering. It's like Ice Cube's Big 3 thing. And his whole thing was like, I wanna give other. He was saying, like, I wanna, like, give WNBA players an alternative to have to go overseas. Yeah. Several things wrong with that. First of all, Big 3 season and WNBA season, same time.
Yeah.
Second of all, if you want to offer WNBA players the opportunity to not go overseas, you would offer current WNBA players a contract to play in the Big 3. Thirdly, and most importantly, you would support the WNBA before this massive star who's not in the WNBA is headed to the WNBA.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's just,
that strengthens my argument that Caitlin Clark has that star power. I want to move off of Caitlin Clark. I would, to your question about the LeBron Zion thing, I would say the same thing to LeBron. Like I'm going to say to Asia Wilson, get better representation. Then, if that's your beef, get better representation, because there's no way that if you feel that way or that strongly about it, then Caitlin Clark, little cornbread white ass, shouldn't have came through the NBA and took over. That's what I'll say about it.